Hello, everyone. My name is AJ Kuftic. I'm a digital product strategist with Expedient. I want to thank you for joining me today for the second of our four webinars that we're doing this month on ransomware. Today, we're going to talk about detect. We have our full concept of protect, detect, and recover. Today, we're going to focus on detection. If you have any questions, please enter those down about here. It's over here, into the Q&A panel. We'll make sure to answer those after the question. If you ask a question, you're entered to win a prize. That prize this week is a $100 Best Buy gift card. This is all being recorded. So if you have to step away, you want to show this to someone else, you want to put the entire ransomware series together into some sort of full-length feature film, the link will be available in your email. It will also be on our website, go.expedient.com/webinar replays. youtube.com/expedient, twitter.com/expedient, instagram.com/_expedient, and linkedin.com/company/expedient. Please give us a follow and a like on all those social medias. Really helps us out, and I'd appreciate that. For those of you who are new to Expedient, we started about 20 years ago doing co-location. Today, we have 12 data centers in 8 cities. In 2007, we released our virtual co-location platform to provide virtual hosting for our customers. This is around the same time that AWS released EC2. So we've been doing cloud about as long as AWS. In 2015, we released our push button DR. As more and more customers got more virtualized, it made it easier for customers to do virtualization or to do disaster recovery, but managing second sites, managing all the networking, storage, et cetera, was painful. So we released our push button DR products to save our clients in the event of a disaster. And that has full network failover, and it's the fastest in the industry. In 2018, we released our enterprise cloud. We took our virtual co-location platform and took it to the next level by putting an HTML5 interface, REST API to provide a full cloud operating model on top of a VMware-powered platform, so you get all of the cloud and none of the refactoring. In 2020, we released our cloud-native platform to be able to provide fully managed Kubernetes, application observability, and persistent container storage to give our customers the way to power their next generation applications right next to their existing ones. And all throughout 2021, we've been focusing a lot on multi-cloud to provide universal services to manage your workloads regardless of where they are. I have something in my eye. Just a tear of how much we've done. But I want to tell you a story of the worst work phone call I've ever received. It was May of 2020. May of 2017. I was here in 2020. In May of 2017, I received a call from one of my coworkers. It's 4 o'clock. It's a Friday. I'm just trying to finish up my work and get out for the day. And honestly, we've seen some various attacks over the years. My coworker says, "Hey, did you see the news today?" And I said, "No, I haven't seen any news yet today." And he said, "Oh, here's an article, you should read this." And I opened the article, and in the article is this. This is WannaCry. I don't know how many of you had to deal with WannaCry, had to clean up WannaCry. I'm sorry if you had to do that, because this was the first real, honest to goodness, mainstream ransomware attack. This is the one that really kicked off all of the ransomware response that we've seen over the last 4 years. The basics of this were very simple. Someone clicked a link, this then ran, and oops, all your files are encrypted. You had 3 days to pay $300 in Bitcoin, which as of right now is like 0.000002 Bitcoins. It was worth much more back then. And after 3 days, the price was raised from $300 to $1,000. And after a week, they deleted everything. And honestly, this is the one that got everyone's attention, mostly because it was red, but it utilized a flaw in Windows using SMB v1 to actually go spread through the network. If you had patched systems, you were okay. If you didn't have patched systems, or you had legacy systems that could not be patched, you were in deep, deep trouble. And so this went around all of the various industries. It hit personal machines. It spread very, very quickly. Eventually, the decryption keys were figured out and people didn't have to pay anymore. But this is the one that got everyone's attention. This is where Backup vendors started writing new innovative ways to protect backup so that you could recover in the event of a disaster. This is where journaling from disaster recovery providers got better. This is where patching became even more critical than it already was. And this is where we all started to take our attention away from, hey, something's going to come in and just delete all your stuff, to how do I respond better in the event of a ransomware attack? But WannaCry did something else. WannaCry got everybody's attention because of the big red screen. But then existing ransomware after that got quieter. Ransomware doesn't come kick in the door and say, give me all your money. It doesn't do that anymore. It comes in quietly. If I had to think of ransomware now, it's hanging out in a quiet room or in a crowded room because it wants to be quiet now. It doesn't want to kick in the door and immediately start ruining everything. It needs to be quiet. If I had to point out where ransomware is in this picture, it's probably there or here or maybe over there. It's not in any sort of noticeable place. It's not walking in the middle of that aisle like the man and the woman are down there. It's not walking along the back ends. It's sitting in and amongst everything else. Because the point of ransomware now is don't get noticed. You want to infiltrate, you want to get in and sit down. You want to get in, talk back to your command and control networks, where your command and control networks will tell you to bide your time. Don't get caught. Don't make the big statement. Don't make the big stink. Don't say, give me all your money. Hide. Sit in the background. Now, why would ransomware want to do this? Well, ransomware attackers found out that when you kick in the door and you put the big red screen up, everybody goes into response mode. People now know how to recover. People now know that there are ways to recover. And so they go to those things. They don't just immediately say, oh crap, where are we going to get all this money to pay all this Bitcoin? Also, what's a Bitcoin? Maybe Ethereum now. I don't know. Send all your crypto questions to Twitter. They'll answer. But when we go through this, we find that ransomware comes in and it's in long before the actual attack happens. Because if you're found out too early, you get removed. You need to launch when it's least expected. We don't get this anymore. We don't get the big red window anymore because there are ways and reasons why they come in and sit in the first place. They come in and sit because, hey, because all the backup vendors know how to do this, because customers know how to recover, we have to wait for their replication times. It waits to get through so that the ransomware is actually still sitting in the backups when you go to recover. And maybe the time bomb hasn't gone off yet, but it's sitting in the backups waiting to be recovered. It's through your journaling for your disaster recovery. It's through the rotation of all of your storage array replications. It's waiting for those times so that even if you go back to all of your recovery tools, you're able to get back, you're able to have the ransomware come back online and rear its ugly head all over again. But one of the other problems that we see is that because we don't have this big red window, what happens when you actually get a ransomware attack is, let's say Rick in sales. I'm going to pick on Rick a lot this month. It's not his fault. He just doesn't know. But when Rick clicks that link, nothing happens. He doesn't get the big red window anymore. He doesn't get anything. He clicks a link and the thing just opens. And so he goes about his merry old day. Meanwhile, on the back end of his system, processes on his system are trying to reach into other things. They're trying to move across the network. They're trying to get into position so that they can launch. So we can't just go to the surface signs. We have to go deeper. We have to go past the sunlight zone and into the midnight zone. We can't just look for the surface signs of a ransomware attack. They've gotten a lot better. They try to hide way more often now. So we have to look for deeper changes in the platform. We have to look for deeper changes to processes, deeper changes to network activity. If Rick's laptop starts talking to sketchier parts of the internet, it's probably likely that there's a ransomware infection on his machine. If there's new processes on his machine that are talking to parts of the network that his laptop is not supposed to be talking to, there's probably a ransomware attack on his machine. If Rick in sales is talking to Bob in manufacturing, process to process level in the background, that's not good. If Rick's laptop is emailing Bob, that's probably fine. So we have to look for deeper level changes on what's happening. We have to find the anomalous activity. Now, if we go back to last week, you may remember our Protect webinar, where we talked about our frontline tools that we have to help protect your environment, your endpoints from ransomware, right? Endpoint security, multi-cloud firewall, microsegmentation. Endpoint protecting us from bad processes being run, good code being used for bad purposes. I'll get those words right someday. Our multi-cloud firewall protecting inbound and outbound threats, and our microsegmentation being able to protect our network laterally. But one of the interesting parts is not only are they doing this protection, they're also logging all of the times that they're having to do any sort of protection activity. If they shut down a process, there's a log for it. If multi-cloud firewall detects Rick's laptop going to a sketchy part of the internet, it's logging that activity. If it detects Rick's laptop trying to connect to the manufacturing side of the house, it's logging that activity. So all of these protection tools can also be used as detection tools. We want to detect all of this information. The problem is we need somewhere for that all to go. We need somewhere for this all to land. And then that place needs to tell us when something is wrong. And it's very much like a carbon monoxide alarm. I don't know how many of you are familiar with carbon monoxide. Hopefully you haven't been familiar with carbon monoxide because it is a dangerous, dangerous thing. It's an odorless and smokeless gas. If you don't have a carbon monoxide detector, you should go get them for your house, place them near and around your kitchen, fireplaces, those sorts of things. That's my personal safety announcement to you. But when we talk about this sort of thing, these are things that happen in the background. These are things that are happening that you don't see, that you don't ever think about, that you don't ever notice, right? Carbon monoxide, odorless, smokeless. You as a human being cannot detect it. It's there though, you just can't see it. So this is the same sort of concept. I have a bunch of alerts that are happening and processes that are being stopped and firewall traffic that is stopping nefarious activity. But I don't see that anywhere. I'd have to go into each of those individual consoles. I need a centralized place to bring this all back to. And I need that centralized place to do constant monitoring, to be constantly vigilant so that I'm alerted to when there are problems. I need something that's going to wake me up and tell me to go do something about this or to get out of the house. And that's where our SIEM comes into play. Our SIEM centralizes all of your logging. Now, what do I mean by all of our logging? Well, we have on-prem, we have enterprise cloud, we have hyperscale cloud. All of those can have individual logging platforms. On-prem, you might have Splunk or Elastic on-prem. In AWS, you have CloudWatch. In GCP, you have Stackdriver. In Azure, you have Azure Log Management. All of those are individual systems. You can't get a holistic view of your environment. So you can't see if there are cross-site attacks. You can't see if GCP stuff is attacking your AWS things. You can't see if on-prem things are trying to get to AWS. You don't have a holistic view of the picture. But one of the other things is, a lot of times, performance and troubleshooting logs that you're already collecting are capable of being used for security logging as well. And just to let you in behind the scenes, our SIEM and our operations control stack are backed by the same stack and the same technology. So you can double dip on your logs and you can actually take your performance and troubleshooting logs and use them for security scanning as well. But the other thing that a SIEM does is it doesn't just take all your logs and dump them in and then shove them back into your face. If that were to happen, you would get the deep, deep pain of alert fatigue. I don't know how many of you are familiar with alert fatigue, but if you're constantly told over and over and over again that this is a thing, that this is a thing, that this is a thing, and every time you look, it's not really a thing, you start to not care about that alert. It's the boy who cried wolf. It's Stewie yelling at Lois, mommy, 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 mommy. I'm sorry for any parents out there who've had to go through that. But when you're looking at these sorts of things, you can't get alert fatigue. You need something that can find the signal in the noise. We need to find what's really something I need to do versus this might be normal. This might be something that we can go worry about later. We want to be able to take alerts to take action. And that's the key here. I want to be able to surface these up and say, hey, these are problems and we need to go solve them today. And by having a detection layer as part of your ransomware protection, this gives you wide-ranging capabilities to find and protect your organization at every single level. We have our endpoint security that's watching for all of our processes and making sure that we have our signature-based protection for known issues. We have our behavior-based protection to protect us from the unknown and prevent good code from being used for bad purposes. Our multi-cloud firewall protecting against inbound and outbound utilizes web reputation scoring. That web reputation scoring can be put into alerts that go into the SIM. Hey, Rick in sales is trying to connect to something that has a web reputation of 5. You should probably go look at that. And by doing that, I'm now able to take alerts on those things. With our micro-segmentation, we can also protect laterally, so I can see when Rick's laptop is talking to Bob's laptop directly, and my SIM is saying, hey, that's not supposed to happen. We should lock that down, or we should figure out what process is doing that. And by utilizing the endpoint security tool, I can actually correlate those logs together to find the anomalies at the same time. What we want to do is be able to cloud safer. One of the biggest challenges that we find in our multi-cloud journey is how to secure everything consistently. Security burden is massive. Security teams have to do so very much. They have to protect network threats, storage threats, compute threats, end user silliness, right? The weakest link is usually end users. Next month is actually phishing awareness month. So go learn about how phishing works. But as we start to do this, we have to consider the burden that we're placing on security organizations and you as infrastructure folks as well. So by having a set of tools that consistently provide security policies, lateral network protection, identity, endpoint security, and log detection gives us a massive amount of capability and skill without having to build all of this. If you were to go try to deploy all of this all at once, it would take you a massive amount of time, a massive amount of capital to go do that. And we can do this as a service in a very granular fashion and give you the best of breed technologies at a very, very affordable cost. So what's next? You can go to our website, expedient.com/services/assessments. And you can sign up for a free cloud and DR assessment. You can use our subject matter experts to help you find the right cloud for the right workload, or discover where you have challenges in your disaster recovery plan. This is all free to you. We can even find things like dependency mappings and compare costs across clouds, including our own. So please, expedient.com/services/assessments, sign up today. And you can also go to expedient.com/services/multi-cloud to see our full cloud different multi-cloud vision, how we can help you cloud smarter, safer, and simplified, and utilize our enterprise cloud and our tooling to accelerate your cloud journey to get you where you want to go faster. Also, please continue to join us this month. Next week, we will be talking to Oliver Schmidt from C4CS. They are a crisis management firm located here in the Pittsburgh area. We're going to talk around the actual ways that a company handles a ransomware attack. Not the technology, not the recovery, not protect, detect, recover, but how your business actually responds to this. How did Colonial Pipeline respond? How does your organization respond? How do you tell others how this actually has happened and what your company is going to do about it? Oliver has a ton of experience in helping customers manage crises. So highly recommend you check this one out next week. I'm very, very excited for this one because it's a little bit different than what we normally talk about. And on September 30th, you can watch our webinar around recovery and how we can help you get back up and running faster, utilizing our push button DR, cloud data protection, and object storage platforms on how we can help you recover from a ransomware attack faster. Now, I'm just going to ask you all, as AJ, to keep an eye on your email boxes, to keep an eye on our webinars we have upcoming in October, because they are going to be fantastic. If you'd like to get a sneak peek at one of them, I don't know, you could go to vmworld.com, take a look at the course catalog, and search for your friends at Expedient. Thanks. Highly recommend registering for all of these webinars. We do appreciate those of you who are here. If you have questions, please go ahead and add those in now. This is one of the things that we find most customers don't have a truly wide range of capabilities on. Because a lot of times when they look at all of these tools, they say that's a lot of tools, that's going to cost a lot of money, and I don't have the time to actually go build them. This is really where it comes in. We're actually able to bring tool sets to your front door. We're able to make them easier to consume, make them easier for you to not have to manage them, but actually get the benefits out of them. So things like multi-cloud firewall, you don't have to protect, or you don't have to patch and manage those platforms. You get to provide security policies and apply them where you need them to go. So these are the sorts of things. I'm sorry, can we put the links that I've mentioned into the Q&A? Our producer on the back end can place those into the chat shortly. I'll let him go do that because he's got the links. I don't have them on hand readily. How have you taken care of an actual ransomware attack? Please explain. Well, there's a short version, there's a long version. Short version is the one I'm going to tell you now. The long version is a full webinar that we did back in January, from hack to back in 48 hours, with one of our customers, National Auto Care. I interviewed the CIO. He told us the whole story. So it's a much longer story, and we dive really in depth on what happened. The short version is they were infected in August. The actual attack did not happen until October. They woke up one morning, and all of their servers and systems were offline with a bunch of ransomware screens all over them. They contacted us. They also contacted the FBI to go through and do forensics to find what happened and why that happened, if there was anything that could be done to prosecute those who had done that. But what we did was we went to our tools. They were an Expedient Enterprise Cloud customer. They were a Cloud Data Protection customer and a push-button DR customer. We spun them up a new area to restore into, so they had a known, good, clean area to restore into. We used a combination of our push-button DR tooling to bring up their database servers and our Cloud Data Protection platform to be able to recover from the backups that were not touched because the backups themselves are immutable. So we had the capability to bring them up, bring them back online. And again, a huge shout out to our operations support center for sitting with them on the line and helping them do all of the recoveries. They were on the phone with them for 16 hours, helping them recover servers. We got them back up and running from the start of the attack to the end was about 48 hours. It was over the course of a weekend. Again, this is the capability that we as Expedient offer. It's not just the tooling to actually go do the recovery, but the staff to help you recover and the space in which to recover. We really, really pride ourselves on being able to meet the needs of our customers, whatever those needs may be. And we find that that's a big differentiator for us over various other cloud providers who very much just hand you the services and hope for the best. So that's the big differentiator between us and Expedient. We've also had customers who are not under our managed services that do everything inside of Colo that have been hit with ransomware attacks, and it took them 6 to 7 weeks to get back online. So when you pair our tools with our staff, we're able to accelerate how quickly you can get back online after a ransomware attack. That's not our only one. We have a number of them, but that's the one that did a whole webinar with us to talk through that. So I highly recommend watching that. So from a tool of Expedient we're offering around ransomware, we have our entire Cloud Safer platform. So that's our firewall, microsegmentation, endpoint security, SIEM, and identity access management. The question was, explain the tools of Expedient or offerings for ransomware. These tools are used to protect and detect against ransomware. We'll talk at the end of the month around our recovery capabilities around push-button DR, our Cloud Data Protection, and our Cloud Object Storage. So those are all of the offerings that we use. You can use them for regular production workloads and regular security, but they also have the capability to protect, detect, and recover from a ransomware attack. Our backups are immutable. Are they certified immutable? They are immutable on the back end. The backup tooling that we use is powered by Cohesity. So Cohesity's technology is what we use there. There are a number of other ways that we've seen to do this. There's also the 3-2-1 backup strategy. That's where our object storage comes in. We have customers who use our, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read questions and answer at the same time. That's a bad idea. We use that backup technology. Our object storage is also being used for S3 out. So if you have a backup tool on premises today, like Veeam, Rubrik, or even Cohesity, and you want to send your backups and archive them off to another site and get them away from your on-prem workloads, this is a way to do it in a very cost-effective manner that you can then recover from very, very quickly with no egress fees. I believe the question here is referring to these webinars that we were doing at the end or going forward towards the rest of the month, I believe is the services that we're asking for here. So we will be doing webinars next week and the week after that around surviving disasters and recovering. So thank you all. We will be handing out the prize afterwards. We will send out an email to the winner. We thank you so much for joining us this week. Please, again, join us next week for Survive the Disaster, Manage the Crisis, and at the end of the month for Recover, Get Back Up and Running Faster. And we will see you next week. Thanks.